We are starting to do our lesson now on sheets number 1. Now, if you didn't watch the first intro lesson, you need to go back and watch it. You're going to learn how to do all the things we did to get to this point. We learned how to rename the spreadsheet title, how to rename the sheet, how to highlight cells, what a cell is. We learned about columns, we learned about rows, we learned how to merge and center the spreadsheet title, and we learned what a spreadsheet title was and what column headings were. We learned about formatting the words and letters, and we also learned about formatting numbers and adding borders. And lastly, we learned how to format this document to print. So if you have not watched it, you need to go back and watch the first video. So for those of you guys who watched the first video, what I'm going to do is introduce you to how to use the formulas and functions and how to read the instructions that we have. So first thing is that you're going to notice that in the instructions, there were several documents, and one of them said Google Sheets and it was on Google Slides. And what that is that's actually the instructions. And when you open it up, what you would find out is you have different tabs. In fact, you're going to have another one called Excel formulas and functions as well. So you have these different tabs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you how to put them side by side. So as you're doing it, you'll be able to be more efficient and it'll be easier for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the sheet 1. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it down. What it does is it pulls it away from here, and I'm going to throw it to the left here. What it did is now I have this, and then I'm going to select this, and I'll choose this. Now, for whatever reason, it keeps doing this, so we may have to do it more than one time, but once you do it, you have both of these. Now you have the spreadsheet that I want to work on, or Google Sheets, and then you have this. Now, keep in mind, your Google Sheets, when you start this assignment, will be blank. And what you're going to do is you're going to fill it out with what's on here. And you can, like once again, on Google Slides, you have the option to zoom in. Okay, and if you're having a hard time, you can go right here, you can print it, you can go here, you can make it bigger, you can make it smaller, all sorts of stuff like that. Sure, in view, you can even choose different things to zoom in, zoom out. It says like it's Control and Alt, so on and so forth. So I'm gonna throw it back over here real quick. And we're zoomed in to, I'm going to go to 100 again. Okay, we're good there. Okay, so we're right here. You're going to create this spreadsheet you see here. So you're going to copy basically what this is here. And what I did is I made an image so you can't just highlight, copy, and paste. You're actually going to have to type in the information. Because the first set of instructions on slide 2 say this. Oops, sorry. Is you're going to create the given spreadsheet. Then it says we're going to resize our columns if needed. Now, how you do that is this. First, we're not going to skip columns. So don't skip columns. So notice that we did in the first one, we didn't skip columns. That means we went from A to B to C to D to E to F. We didn't jump around. But to resize is basically you take your mouse and you put it between the letters of A and B, the columns, and it becomes an arrow pointing to different directions, and you can move it either way, or you can double click and it'll fit. So once again, move it around. That's how we resize columns. And then it talks about, well, we're going to figure out the total average columns for the movies. In this case, it's going to be what the work week is, the totals and the average. And then also on the bottom, we're going to figure out the total average, highest, lowest, and count. So the total average, highest, low, and count. And only for the parts that are shaded. Notice it's shaded areas only. Once again here, shaded areas only. So you have those options. So let's look at what we're going to do. Now, there is a document in this assignment that says Excel formulas and functions, and it gives you all this, but I thought it might be easier since we're doing 2 windows side by side that I would give it to you on the bottom. So then you can go back and say, okay, I need to add. How do I add? So there's 2 ways to add. Because finding the total, it's an adding thing. So how do I add? So there's 2 ways. One is you can just go equal cell plus cell plus cell. So here's an example of that. We can say equal, and I can say the cell would be, the first one would be B4, plus, plus C4 plus E4. Now in doing that, when I hit enter, it gives me a number. And that's good, but that would just be a real big pain if it was like 500 of them to do. You'd be like, this is horrible. And another cool thing about this, which we're not going to do very much, but you can also do, you don't have to add them in a row or vertically or horizontally. You could add them all over the place. But we're not going to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this one. We have what's called equal sum, and it's called a range. A range is a group of cells either vertically or horizontally. They're all next to each other. So going back over here, we're going to delete all that, but we're going to just do it a little bit differently. So I'm going to put the equal, and then I'll put the word sum, S-U-M, which in math formulas means add. And I'll go Shift 9. The first cell, once again, is B4. Now, there's something called the colon key. It's the semicolon key, but you hold the Shift key. If you don't know what that is, and on your keyboard, the Enter key, 2 keys to the left, we're going to hold the Shift key, hold down, there's 2 dots there that pop up, and we're going to say the last one would be D4. We're going to hold the Shift key, hit 0, and hit Enter, and you get the same number, and you don't have to do it over and over again. So when you do that, we're saying we're adding these 3 in a row. So I'm going to do that one more time here, and then I'm going to do the exact same thing down here. So we go again, go equal, sum, Shift 9, which gives me that bracket. The first one I want to add is B5. See right there? B5. Then I hit the Shift, semicolon, colon, and the last one would be D5. And I'll give you guys a little hint. You don't have to hit the last Shift 0. You can just hit Enter, and boom, there you go. Adding down this way, same concept. Equal, sum, Shift 9. Now, when I do that, now I have to tell it where I want to add. Now, I'm adding vertically, not horizontally now. So the first cell I want to add is B4. So B4. Hold the Shift key down to colon. And that's the last one. B6. B6. Hit Enter, and it adds that way as well. And you see it's highlighted in orange. So I can add both vertically and horizontally using that. So that's fairly simple here. So we have other things we're going to do. We're not really going to touch them today, but I want to go over them. But so now you understand how to add. So now let's look at this. So to subtract, it'll be equal cell minus cell, what we did earlier. So equal A1 minus B1. Remember, the equal sign is very imperative. Multiply. We're not going to do that as well today, but I want you to be familiarized with it. We have 2 ways of doing it. Once again, equal, always start with equal. Then the cell, the little asterisk, that would be Shift 8. And then the other cell, or there's a command, equal product. Okay, to divide, equal A1, the little slash B1. Average, we're going to be doing this. So equal average is equal, then the word average is a command, and then the cells vertically or horizontally. And you notice that these ones are restricted to go either vertically or horizontally. You can't just jump around. Okay, and I want to show you something else in the notes real quick here. What we did is we gave you what the little symbols look like to do everything. And going back here, these are the commands that they call the function formulas that we're going to use. I call them commands, keep them easier. Sum, add, minimum, the lowest, max, the highest. Average is find the average, like a GPA. Product is multiply, count, to actually count. So we're going to do all of these in a minute here. So let's go back over here. Let's do that average thing. I'm going to put it over here so you can see both. So the average thing told me right here, equal average. So equal, oops, wrong place. So equal, and the word average, A-V-E-R-A-G-E, Shift 9, which gives me that open bracket. And then the first one I want to add is, or go to, is what is B4. B4. Then I'm going to hold the Shift key, hit the semicolon key to get a colon. And the last one is D4. D4. And hit Enter. Now, I'm going to show you something real quick here. Little teacher trick. So just so you guys know that we are going to be able to see if you did the work. The only difference between this formula and this formula is the command, the function we use. This one says equal sum, same group of cells. This says equal average, same group of cells. So when you're doing this, understand it's the command that you choose that will change what math is done. And remember, always equal in front of it. So let's go, oops, goodness gracious. Sorry about that. Let's go back and do this. Equal, average, shift 9. The first one is going to be what? B4, B4, colon, semicolon, shift. And then the last one is still in B6. Hit enter. There you go. I'll do it over here one more time. We're going to add horizontally equal, average, shift 9, B5, B5. Hold the shift key down, get the semicolon to the colon, and then D5. Okay, fairly easy, right? Now we go down to here, and it talks about the highest, lowest, and count. So on these notes down here, I don't know if you can see them or not, the highest is max, that's the command. The lowest is min, and the count is count. Everything else remains the same. So let me give you an example here. The highest is equal, max, shift 9. Then once again, B4, B4. Hold the shift and the colon, B6. Enter. Once again, minimum, lowest, equal, min, shift 9, B4, B6. And count is equal, count, B4 to B6. So as you're doing this, once again, going back using that little teacher trick, what you'll see is each one of these uses the same group of cells, but we gave it a different command each time. This one says count, this one says what's the lowest, what's the highest, this one says average, this one says. Okay, so I'm going to give a little talk to that count because some of you guys think it's really stupid. Why do I have the number 3? I can obviously count number 3. I want you to think bigger picture. So in like the real world, like the state of California and other jobs, when you have over 1 million people who you've inputted and some of them put something and some didn't, you want to know counts. You want to know how many people actually said yes, how many people did this, how many people actually inputted something. And because it only will count if there's something there. So for instance, if I were to delete this, see it changed the number, the count to 2. So count actually says counts how many inputs there are. Okay, so we did all that. Now you have the math. Now let's go back to the formula instructions here. And I want to scroll up real quick, and I want to go over this real quick. I'm going to give you guys a real quick rundown, and then hopefully you're ready for this. So it talks about you're going to change the name of your document. So that's up here. We talked about this. You're going to rename the sheet name. So that's down here on the bottom here, which we talked about earlier. Get out of the way. Right down here. You're going to bold and underline the title. Okay, so you should know how to bold and underline. If you watch the video, you'll know. You should also know how to merge and center the spreadsheet title. Remember, this is the spreadsheet title. In this particular case, what is your spreadsheet title? Your spreadsheet title for this is going to be Netflix. That's your spreadsheet title. It also talks about you need to bold, italicize the column headings. Remember when I talked about column headings? These are column headings. Make sure you know how to bold and italicize them. So change the format, the number format of all the numbers. So remember, all the numbers, these are all numbers. We're changing format to that. And it says to comma style with 1 decimal. Remember I talked about earlier that you do have options that you can use. Okay. Now, moving down there, you also can change to 1 decimal place. Once again, we can increase or decrease decimals. You're going to put a line border around the spreadsheet. You're going to shade all the areas. We've already done that. And then you're going to do the file formatting. And you're not going to print, and you're going to proofread it and put it in. Hopefully, you've paid attention to the first lesson, and now we're in the second lesson. This should be an easy assignment for you. Feel free to email your teacher if you have any other questions. I wish you the best of luck. If you need to, rewatch this video.